So today we're talking about from hot mess to high performance. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Megan Wollerton, and I am the owner of Life Force Wellness. I am certified as a personal trainer, a coach, a nutrition coach, a corporate wellness specialist, a positive psychology practitioner, and a certified stress management, sleep, and recovery coach. I work with individuals and companies to help them create less toxic, better balanced work environments. So I work with leaders on creating psychologically safe work environments where we can raise our hand and say, hey, I've made a mistake. I need help. I'm drowning. I feel like a little bit of a hot mess today. And we don't have to feel any kind of hostility. We don't have to fear any retaliation. And then I work with employees and individuals such as yourself that maybe you're in that you're super burned out, you're stressed out, you're having a hard time just staying focused, getting that clarity, being productive. And so I use all the knowledge I have as a personal trainer, health coach, nutrition coach, with stress management, with positive psychology to help you formulate a plan that works for you. And we're going to be going over some of those things today. And I want to be honest. Have you ever really just felt like the best way to describe yourself is a total hot mess? You're juggling the deadlines, the family, the never ending to do list, and yet somehow you're just barely keeping it all together. If that is you, you are not alone. I also run this organization. My husband runs another company. We have two small children. And there are some days where I just have to go, you know what? It's a hot mess kind of day. I am struggling to keep up with everything. And sometimes we get ourselves into this mindset where we just need to be busier. We almost tell ourselves, if I can just be a little bit busier, if I can just do a little bit more, then I'll get it done. I'll be productive. We say those things like, oh, someday I'll get all this done. And that day I have yet to see it, right? Now, I could sit here and give you the same advice my younger brother gives me, which is just get good. It's really funny. We do a family game night every Sunday. We play cards, and there's a one card game called Play Nine. I am terrible. And I'll start to complain because I keep losing, and he'll just look at me and be like, get good. And I feel like a lot of advice that's out there for general life advice when it comes to stress management, it's like, calm down, get focused. And that's what the advice is that you're getting from other coaches is just find clarity, set the goal. Yes, that's helpful, but there's a lot of other factors at play. And I want to go a little bit deeper because if it were simple, then a lot of those planners and the apps and those productivity hacks that you've learned, they would have solved all this problem. Everyone, it seems like, has some kind of new journal or new planner that is their most effective thing. And trust me, I've got my favorite planner too. I've gone through several of them. I love it, but that may not work for you. I even have this thing that sits on my desk. If anyone's had this, it's called a timular. And so it's got these little stickers on it that's like, this is when I do my emails. This is when I do my social media. This is when I'm creative. And it's supposed to sit here and it's a Bluetooth device. And as I work on a task, I'm just supposed to turn it and it tracks where I spend my time. And this was helpful when I was first trying to figure out where does all my time wasting go? What am I spending the most time in the day doing? But if you're like me, this only worked for a short while because I would turn it to be like, I'm going to check my emails. And then an email came in that sent me down a rabbit hole where I maybe made a phone call or did something on social media or did a project and I forgot to turn the dice on my desk. So only as useful as the person using it. So I don't want to talk about another tool. I want to talk about the mindset behind what causes us to feel like a bit of a hot mess, those balance blockers that get in our way. Now, if you've joined me for any of my other wellness webinars, like 2 weeks ago, we did Everything is on Fire. That one is on our YouTube channel now if you want to go back and watch that replay. I did kind of a quick overview of the four balance blockers, those mindset traps that cause us to become out of balance. Today, we're going to take a much deeper dive into that, and then I'm going to give you some tools and resources that you can implement to help you find that better balance. And I'm not talking like a physical tool, I'm talking mental hacks that you can do that will actually help you gain control of your day. So, our goal is to find that clarity. What do you actually value? Like, what is it that you're trying to solve? What are the things that are a priority in your life? And what are those four balance blockers that are keeping you from putting first things first? Then we're going to learn how to work with your natural energy because there is no one size fits all solution to this. And I want you to think about one simple shift that you can make today. So you're actually going to implement something so that when you get off this call, you have some kind of resource that you can start to put into practice to help you gain some better control of your day. So, what are these four balance blockers? The first one I call incongruence. This is when we have a misalignment of our actions and our beliefs. So, an example here is when I have a client that tells me, I wish I had more time to spend with my friends. But when their friends call them and say, hey, we're going out tonight, they go, nah, I'm going to stay home and watch Netflix. Yeah, there's an incongruence there. You're not following up. You keep saying you want to do this thing, you believe you want this thing, but you're not taking action towards it. Or I'll get people that say, I really want to go for this promotion, but when the job opportunity presents itself, they don't go for it. And this could stem from a lack of confidence, a lack of feeling belonging. It could come from some kind of imposter syndrome. So there's an incongruence in what our beliefs or our values are and the actions we're actually taking. And so taking a deeper dive into those things and really figuring out what we value is going to help us overcome that. The second one is external stigmas. So this is where we do things because we feel the pressure from others to do it. We have a fear of maybe judgment or shame or guilt when we have to say no. We are very reluctant to put ourselves first. We'll put our own priorities and the things that are important to us on the back burner for someone else. And it kind of comes back to that you can't pour from an empty cup. You know, you are constantly pouring yourself out for others, and there's nothing left there for you. And it just is coming from you're the person everyone comes to for help. You know, whether it's parents, it's your kids, it's people at work, you're the go to person, and you tend to say yes to everything. That is an external stigma that is draining you. Now, the reverse of that is the internal stigma. This is that pressure to always do more, you know, and it can often create a really unhealthy mindset. People who have an internal stigma might really have issues, especially around social comparison, that they see, well, they can do this, so I should be able to do this without understanding the full picture. They tend to want to overextend themselves, not because anyone externally is putting that pressure on them, but because internally, if they don't do it, they will feel like a failure. So, one of my favorite examples for this is, let's say my kid's having a bake sale. Nobody at the school cares if I go to the local grocery store, buy a bag of Chips Ahoy chocolate chip cookies, put them on a plate, and send them to the school, right? As long as there are chocolate chip cookies to sell at the bake sale where they can make money, everyone's happy, except for me. I put this unrealistic expectation on myself that I should make these cookies from scratch with all organic ingredients. That I don't have time for. Like I said, we're running two businesses here. We have small children. That's not really realistic for me, but I might feel guilty because I felt like I cheated my way and I didn't make them from scratch. I bought them from the store. If that's you, this might be an internal stigma then that you're dealing with. The last one is ambiguity. So, this is when we have a lack of clarity or direction. So, this is where most coaches will approach most of your productivity. You know, what are you really needing to focus on? What's the most important thing? How do we prioritize our day? And I'm not saying that that's not important because it absolutely is. But I think a lot of coaches start here because it's one of the easiest ones to fix, right? It's all about setting that SMART goal. Imagine running a marathon and the gun goes off and you're running and there's no mile markers, there's no finish line. Eventually, over time, you just full on collapse. And you're going to feel like an utter failure because what did you accomplish? You look back and there's no finish line, there's no mile markers, And this is where we get in that mindset where we feel like we're spinning our wheels and we're just not getting anywhere. And that's because you haven't drawn any lines in the sand. So if we start actually setting very clear, measurable goals, thinking about that SMART complex, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time bound, if we set those, then we can actually feel like we've accomplished some things. We can measure our progress. If we don't have any way to measure our progress, then we are in this area of ambiguity where we're just doing things for the sense of getting them done. So, how do these manifest in your daily life? Maybe that's not quite resonating with you the way I'm putting it. If you are somebody who struggles with procrastination, or you tend to tell yourself you self sabotage, you avoid the hard things. And while you're avoiding the hard things, it steals your peace of mind. It drives up maybe some anxiety or some guilt. You are most likely dealing with an incongruence. You keep saying you need to do this thing, but like you're just not motivated to get it done. Is it really aligned with your values, or is there an incongruence that's keeping you from taking that action? Is there a sense of imposter syndrome that's keeping you from hitting that next level? And so you kind of self sabotage yourself. So if your issue is procrastination and self sabotage, incongruence is probably your main blocker. If you're a people pleaser, you say yes to everything, you feel bad looking at someone in the eyes and saying, "No, I can't help you today." And you just know that's me 100%. I'm a people pleaser. Then your issue is the external stigma. If you could be labeled a perfectionist, where you just never feel like anything you do is good enough. It can always be tweaked. I can always make this a little bit better. You have a hard time finishing tasks because you just keep like nitpicking at it. You keep tweaking it. It needs 10 more proofreads before it actually goes out the door. Everything has to be in perfect order. You are dealing with an internal stigma. And if you feel pressure that you have to do it all, you have to take it all on and you just can't stop, you can't take a break, and you're that person that's like, "Oh, someday it will slow down," and that day hasn't come yet, most likely you are dealing with ambiguity. You haven't set those very clear goals. So we need to really think about, how do we break free from these blockers? So you go, "Okay, Megan, I'm a people pleaser. Now what? How do I deal with that?" I'm going to give you some things to handle that. But what I also want you to recognize is that you might be a people pleaser in one area and a perfectionist in another. Or you might be saying, "I resonate with all of these." That is totally fine. I'm going to give you a poll here on the next slide, and I want you to tell me which one you think you are struggling with the most right now, because that's the one I want you to focus on as we move forward so you can put something into practice. Because once you identify what the issue is that you want to tackle first, then we can really address those obstacles and put some things into place so you can really like reclaim that peace of mind that you're looking for. So I want to know which of these four balance blockers resonates with you. So there's a little poll on your screen, and I'd like you to vote. And if you want to say, "You know what, all of them, like full out honesty, I feel like I resonate with all of them," go ahead and select all of them. So that incongruence, procrastination, self sabotage, external stigma is the people pleasing, internal stigma is the unrealistic expectations or perfectionism on ourselves. Ambiguity is not having clear SMART goals. And then, of course, there's all of them there. So, which one resonates the most with you? I'll give you another 10 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. So it looks like we have a portion of this group that is saying all of them. Now we're missing some votes from some of you, so I hope you're still following along. Incongruence we had a vote for, and ambiguity. So we are going to look at these four balance blockers and how we overcome them. What are some things you can put into daily practice to help you stop feeling like such a hot mess? The first one, when it comes to incongruence, procrastination, I want you to spend more time in reflection. So, this could be spending time journaling on what you value, but I learned something that was super helpful for me, and I'm hoping it is for you too. I learned from John Berardi. He does the precision nutrition where I got my stress management coaching. He wrote a book called Change Makers, which I'm happy if you guys want resources, send me an email. I'll send you whatever resources you want. But he wrote a great book called Change Makers. And what he did is he taught that he took his top values, like pick your top 3 or 4 values, and turn them into questions. So, for example, my top 4 values, first and foremost, is my religion. So, I'm a Christian. I put God first and foremost in my life. My faith comes first. Second thing is my family. I'm married, 2 kids. They're my second. Then it's my own health and well being. And then my business, my clients, the people I'm caring for and I'm charged with. Those are my top 4 things that I prioritize and that I value. So now what I've done is I've developed questions so that when opportunities arrive, I can actually ask myself 4 questions to see if they're in alignment with my priorities. So what was really great is John had a very similar set of values. I think his top 3 were like his family, his health, and his business. And he shares this story that he had this fabulous opportunity to go to Greece and speak to about 300 people at this symposium about health and well being and promote his business, Precision Nutrition. At the same time of that trip, though, they were about to launch a new product and it was going to go live to like 6,000 people, right? So there was a big discrepancy between who he was speaking to, or it was like 10,000 people or something. There was a big number difference. And so he's looking at this and going, oh my gosh, an all expense trip paid to Greece. And all I have to do is speak for an hour at a symposium, and then I can go and be a tourist and have this great time. I think most of us have been like, yeah, sign me up, right? But he took this with his values and he goes, okay, first and foremost, does this bring me in closer connection to my family? Remember, family was the value. So, does this bring me closer to my family? And he went, no, I have a newborn baby at home. There's no way my wife is going to travel with this newborn baby, especially on this long flight to Greece. I'm probably going to have to be away from them while I'm there. So, no, this is not bringing me closer to my family. So, the answer, no. Second question, is this beneficial to my overall health and well being? He's going, no, I'm going to have to sit on this plane for a long time. My diet's going to be out of whack. I'm not going to be able to get my exercise in like I normally do. I'm going to be jet lagged when I come back. Not the best thing for my health and well being. So, no. Will this help me grow my business in a meaningful way? Because that was his third priority. And he said, will it help grow my business? Yes. But then he had to compare that. On the same week, I also have this opportunity to speak to tens of thousands of people versus just a few thousand people. Which is going to grow my business more? The tens of thousands of people. So he went, okay, based on these 2 opportunities, this other one is going to grow my business the best. So when he put it into that question format, he was able to then go, you know what? As much as Greece sounds fantastic, this is not the right time because it does not fulfill the 3 priorities that I have put in my life. It does not bring me closer to my family. It does not help improve my wealth or my health and well being. And it does not help grow my business in a capacity in which I am capable of this week. So when you switch your priorities into those types of questions, we can really start to put the first things first because a lot of times we get opportunities thrown at us and they sound like a great opportunity. But really, when we step back, we realize that taking that opportunity caused more stress on the back end than it did on the front. So, using that to help prioritize things is really helpful. The other thing is if you are really overwhelmed by just the amount of little things you have to do and you're just swimming in just all the to-dos, laundry, dishes, this emails, childcare, whatever it is, there's just so many things. One of the other things I teach to my clients is a tournament of tasks. So this is like taking all those little to-dos and making like a March Madness bracket and you make your chores kind of fight each other. So, laundry or dishes, what's most important for me to get right now? Well, I'm out of socks, so laundry moves up. And then go to the next thing, emails or this, and whichever one wins, you move it up to the bracket and you make them kind of duel it out. And that's how you prioritize what's your first, what's your second, what's your third most important tasks for the day. So if you are just drowning and I don't even know where to start, and you almost have like that executive dysfunction, I'm not sure where I should start, a tournament of tasks is kind of a fun way to like brain dump all the things you have to do and then think about it logically on which ones need to be prioritized first. Now, if you're a people pleaser, you got to learn to say no guilt free, which is easier said than done. I get it. So, what I want you to practice is the buy time method. So, this is rather than that knee jerk reaction of going, yeah, sure, I'll take that on. I want you to buy yourself some time. Oh, you know what? I got to check my calendar. Can I get back to you? Or I need to check with my spouse. I think we have something going on that day. Or your boss comes over. Can you get this done by 3 o'clock? I have a couple other priorities. Can I get back to you? How quickly do you need an answer? Always feel free to ask, how quickly do you need me to answer this? Hey, can you let me know in the next hour? Otherwise, I have to send it off to someone else. As soon as you can get that person to kind of walk away and you can get some space between you and that other person, then look at it logically. Based on all the things you have going on, can you really take on that other task? And if not, that you go back to the person and say, hey, we've got something going on that week. I'm really sorry. I looked at our calendar. I'm not able to do that. Talk to my spouse, whatever it is. Even if it's your manager and they're saying, hey, I need you to get this done by 3 p.m. and you've got 10 other things that they said are urgent. I highly recommend you take that list to them and say, okay, here's all the things you told me that are urgent today. Can you circle the top three things you want done? Or what absolutely needs to be done by 3 p.m. Sometimes your manager's running around, and I used to be one, and they're like inundated with all the to-dos, and they're just like shooting them out to whoever doesn't look busy sometimes, or is just whoever's closest, and they may not realize that they've put all that stuff on you. And so just having an honest conversation on, hey, I have these 5 tasks. I can't get them all done by 3 p.m. Which ones do you want me to prioritize? That can help you so that you don't feel so overwhelmed. You know that these things can wait, or maybe your manager will delegate them to someone else. But you're not going to discover that and you're not going to be able to have that conversation if your knee jerk reaction is to always just say yes. So instead of saying yes, I want you to think of however you're going to respond. Let me check on that. Let me talk to somebody. Let me see what else I have on the calendar for today. Can I get back to you in an hour? Can I get back to you tomorrow? Whatever that is, I want you to put that, into practice. Then I want you to start thinking about maybe some of the things you've already committed to that you can delegate out. Is there anyone in your support network that can come alongside you that you can go, hey, I volunteered for this thing, but I've gotten really busy at work or something came up with the kids. Can I pass this off to you? Can you find somebody else to help out with this? Or maybe I can help at this capacity, but not the full capacity. Are there certain things that you can delegate out or that you can turn down? Just having a moment to think about those things, who is in your support network, can be super helpful. When it comes to the internal stigma and those unrealistic expectations, you need to understand what's reasonable for you right now. As much as I want to make the cookies from scratch with all organic ingredients, I'm too busy to do that right now. And we need to learn to give ourselves grace. And I would recommend to you go back and look at your SMART goals. Remember, the R stands for your realistic. I'm not saying you can't achieve those goals someday, but right now, based on all the factors in your life, I want you to get real with what realistically are the expectations for you right now. A person who has 3 kids versus no kids has a little more free time. Maybe like I have goals that I want to achieve, but I'm actually waiting till both my kids are in school full time when I have that free time that I can focus on them. So that's a goal for 2 years down the road when both my kids are in full day school and I can focus. Right now, certain things are just not realistic for me because I still need childcare for my youngest. What is it for you that, maybe you need to put down instead of a 2 year plan, it needs to go on a 5 year plan? Or, based on other factors in your life, what's actually realistic for you right now? And just practice giving yourself a little grace. If you are somebody who feels like you're spinning your wheels and you're just not getting anything done and you're ruminating and you're thinking about it, you're laying awake at night thinking about the emails that didn't get sent, the things that didn't get accomplished, I want you to journal about your wins because you have a lot of wins in the day that you're not giving yourself credit for. Like, are the kids alive? Check. That's a huge win. Are they bathed? Are they fed? Did you move the laundry from the washer to the dryer so it doesn't get moldy? That's a huge win. Did you get the dishes in the dishwasher? That's a huge win. It doesn't have to be complete, but it's a win. It's a step in the right direction. What are all the things you did accomplish today? And give yourself a little bit of time to reflect on those and celebrate those wins. That will help shift your mindset. And if you do this right before bed, it will help keep you from ruminating on all the things left undone. The next big tip I want to give you as you put these things into practice is I want you to think not about time blocking your schedule based on what the world thinks you should be doing, like books like What Most Successful People Do at 5 a.m. I don't care what they do at 5 a.m. What works for you based on your personal energy rhythm? When are you at peak energy and when are you not? When I send out the replay, I'm also going to send you this free gift. It's my energy mapping blueprint. Some of you on this call are night owls. You do your best work late at night. I'm in bed at 10 p.m. My best working hour is between 9 and 12. 9 and 12 is my peak time. I am on my game. That's when I do my creative stuff. That's when I do my deep thinking stuff, because that is when I am peak energy after I've had my coffee and the kids are in morning school. When I get to about 3 o'clock, I start to dip, which is why at 3 o'clock, I tend to do the things like check emails or data entry, those things that are kind of those mindless, just busy work tasks. They don't take a lot of energy. I do those during my dips. So, what is it for you? I want you to use this worksheet to figure out when you are at high energy, and I want you to align that time block with the high energy tasks. What are the tasks that need the most energy, concentration, and creativity from you? And plan those at the same time. And it might be that every day from 9 to noon, you block out for creative work and you ask people, hey, I'd rather do afternoon meetings because this is my creative work block. This is my project work block. If you can carve that out, 3 to 4 every day is carved out for me to check email. So if you don't get an email from me, it will most likely come between the hour of 3 and 4, because that's when my energy dips and that's when I focus on responding to all my emails before the close of business. Otherwise, mornings, I'm focused on that deep creative work. I'm not checking my emails. So I want you to match your energy with your tasks so that you're not grinding against your own energy rhythm where you're doing those hard tasks at your lowest peak, because that's going to definitely decrease your productivity and lead to that burnout. So, based on everything we talked about today, I want you to think about one simple shift that you're going to make. What is one of the things we discussed today? It doesn't have to be all of them. And I know like there's this all or nothing mentality that we get that like, let's just implement all the things. No, one thing at a time. Is it the putting your values into question so that you can gauge your values against your tasks? Is it buying time, figuring out how you're going to respond when people ask you for things? Is it going to be sitting down and really evaluating the realistic part of your SMART goals and what realistically, where you should be based on all factors in your life? Are you going to start celebrating your wins? Are you going to map your energy? You're going to sit down and do that energy mapping blueprint and try to time block not every moment of your day, but at least carve out a couple of blocks of time for whenever you need that project work or you need that downtime to recover. Those should be the two primary time blocks you need: high peak performance time and your lowest peak performance time, because you don't want to give up all your good creative stuff to others. You don't want to give that away. And you don't want to be trying to connect with others when you know you're not on your A game. So those would be my two primary blocks. Maybe that's one of the shifts you make, is figure out your energy rhythm so that you can construct your schedule in a way that works for you personally. If you enjoyed this webinar, there's so much more that we could dive into. I am doing weekly workshops, so they alternate. This week was a general wellness. Next week, we're focused on leadership. So if you are a leader or a manager, it's don't push my buttons, and it's how we trigger stress for our employees in the workplace and how we can de-escalate that. So you're welcome to join me next week. But if you want to dive deeper, this is what my Optimize 60 program is all about. Optimize 60 is all about optimizing your day, finding your own personal energy patterns, matching those tasks, finding those priorities, getting out of your head so you're not feeling guilt and shame whenever you set up hard boundaries. It's helping you reduce a lot of that decision fatigue that you feel at the end of the day. That's why our biggest fight is always what's for dinner. We are so fatigued by the time we get to dinner, we don't want to make another decision. And so if that's you and you just really want to get ahead of this, we're offering a special promo just for signing up today. If you go to our website and you sign up and you put in promo code HOTMESS26, you'll actually get $500 off. So I encourage you, if you think you're ready to take that next step and you want some one on one individual time to go through a lot of the things we discussed today and even more, please let me know. Scan that QR code, sign up. It is a 6-week program. You get one on one coaching sessions with me. And if you have any questions, you are welcome to reach out to me via email. And you can check out that coaching program again, Lifeforce Wellness /Optimize, or scan that QR code. Thank you again so much for joining me today. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.